My husband suddenly wanted to name our baby after his best friend. I had no clue about it. I was exactly 32 weeks pregnant, sitting on the edge of our bed folding a pile of tiny baby clothes, when my husband said completely out of nowhere, "If it is a boy, we have to name him Daniel. We have to name him after my best friend. I have been married to him for 5 years. I have met every single friend he has ever had. I have never, in my entire life, heard the name Daniel. My name is Rachel. I am 31 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. My husband is Matt, and he is 33. We desperately tried for 3 agonizing years to get pregnant. We went through draining rounds of IVF. I suffered through 2 terrible miscarriages. This baby growing inside me was an absolute miracle. We did not even know the gender yet. We were waiting to be surprised at the hospital. When he first said the name Daniel, I actually smiled. I genuinely thought, "Oh, this is so sweet, he is finally opening up to me about some old childhood friend." "Daniel," I asked, looking up from a tiny pair of socks. "Who is Daniel? You have literally never told me about a Daniel before." He completely froze. He just stood there for about 3 seconds too long. "Oh," he stammered, rubbing the back of his neck. "My best friend from growing up in Cleveland, Daniel Reyes. We were absolutely inseparable back then. He moved out to Oregon a long time ago. We don't really talk much anymore, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be who I am today. I promised him back in the 8th grade that we would name our first sons after each other. It sounded exactly like a lie. It was the specific way he said it, nervously looking at the blank drywall instead of looking me in the eye. You have talked about Tommy. You talk about Jake. You talk about your cousin Brandon, I said, setting the clothes down. You even talk about your 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Smith, but you have never once mentioned a best friend named Daniel? Do you even have a picture of him? He immediately got defensive and annoyed. Why are you suddenly interrogating me? He snapped. Can't I just have one friend from my past that you don't know about? God, Rachel, you are acting so incredibly hormonal right now. It is just a name. Daniel is a good, strong name for a boy. He turned around and walked right out of the bedroom. That night I could not sleep at all. I am 32 weeks pregnant. I am huge, and I physically cannot even roll over in bed without waking up. So I did exactly what any suspicious pregnant woman would do. I waited until I heard the shower running, and I went straight through his phone. There was no Daniel in his contacts list. There was no Daniel Reyes anywhere in his Instagram followers. There was absolutely no Daniel in his Facebook friends from his hometown in Cleveland. Nothing. I went into his email and typed Daniel Reyes into the search bar. Nothing came up. I walked over to the hallway closet and dug out a heavy cardboard box. We have his old Cleveland high school yearbook from 2010. I flipped through the pages. There was no Daniel Reyes in the senior class. There was no Daniel Reyes in any class at all. The very next day, I casually brought it up to his mom, Linda, while we were talking on FaceTime. "Hey," I asked her, trying to sound completely normal. "Does Matt have an old childhood best friend named Daniel Reyes from Cleveland?" She laughed right into the camera. "Daniel," she asked. "No, honey. Matt's best friends growing up were always Tommy and Josh. Who on earth is Daniel Reyes?" My stomach completely dropped. For 2 straight weeks, Matt kept aggressively pushing the name. Every single time we sat down and talked about baby names, he would bring it up. "What about Daniel?" he would say. "Daniel Matt? Daniel James? Daniel is such a classic name." I started quietly tracking him. I noticed he started taking his phone into the bathroom with him every single time. I kept digging, and I finally found a second Instagram account logged into his app. It was completely private. The username was Matt_Dan_216. 0 followers, and only 1 following. He was following a guy named Daniel Reyes who lived in Portland, Oregon. I immediately made a fake account. I requested to follow Daniel Reyes. A few hours later, he accepted the request. Daniel Reyes is 33 years old. He is very handsome. He has a thick beard, and he looks like a guy who does CrossFit every day. He lives in Portland, and his main profile bio said, husband, father. Matt's person since 2009. I clicked on his photos. I scrolled all the way back to 2015. There was a picture of Matt and Daniel standing at a lake, both shirtless, with their arms wrapped tightly around each other. I found a picture from 2016, Matt and Daniel at a crowded concert in Cleveland. Then I found a picture from 2018. That was exactly 2 years before Matt and I got married. It was a picture of Matt and Daniel lying in a hotel bed. Daniel had his head resting flat on Matt's bare chest. The caption underneath it read, "7 years with this one. My heart, my home, my forever." Forever. While Matt was actively engaged to marry me, I kept scrolling up with shaking fingers. The most recent post on the page was from exactly 3 weeks ago. It was a picture of Daniel's wife, a very pretty blonde woman named Sophie, sitting in a hospital bed holding a newborn baby. The caption said, "Welcome to the world, Matthew Daniel Reyes," named after his 2 dads. Well, one dad and his dad's soulmate. Matthew Daniel. He was named directly after my husband, Matt. My baby kicked my ribs so incredibly hard that my phone slipped out of my hands and hit the floor. I picked the phone back up and called Daniel Reyes on Instagram video chat. It was 2 in the morning, Austin time. He actually answered the call, probably thinking I was just a random spam account. "Hi, is this Daniel?" I asked into the phone. "I am Matt's wife, Rachel, the pregnant one sitting down in Austin." All the color completely drained from his face. "Oh, fuck," he whispered. "Matt suddenly wants to name our baby Daniel after you," I told him, keeping my voice dead steady. His absolute best friend that I never knew existed. "Did you happen to know that your new son is named Matthew after him?" He immediately started crying. "Rachel, I honestly didn't know. He never told you," he sobbed into the camera. "We have been together since we were 16 years old. We were boyfriends all through high school and college. He told his parents he was completely straight, and he married you because he said he desperately wanted a normal life with kids. But we never actually stopped. We see each other every single time he flies to Cleveland for work. I begged him to tell you the truth. Sophie knows all about you. She knows everything. And she agreed to this weird arrangement we have. But I genuinely thought you knew." Sophie knew. Daniel's wife knew all about me. I was the only person in this entire dynamic who didn't know I was living inside a closet. I didn't say another word. I just hung up the phone. I didn't scream. I didn't wake Matt up. I just put my hand flat on my huge belly, and my baby kicked again in the dark. The very next day was our massive joint baby shower at our house in South Austin. We had 40 people in our living room. My family was there, his family was there, and his mom Linda had just flown in from Cleveland. Matt stood in the center of the room and announced he had a huge surprise. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the front doorbell rang. Matt walked over and pulled the door open, absolutely beaming. Daniel Reyes was standing right there on my porch. He was standing there with his wife Sophie, and they had their newborn baby Matthew Daniel strapped into a chest carrier. "Surprise!" Matt yelled over the music. "Rachel, this is Daniel, my absolute best friend in the world. I flew him all the way in so he can finally meet his namesake. Isn't this amazing?" The entire living room went completely dead silent. His mom Linda looked at the door and asked, "Matt, who exactly is this?" I slowly stood up from the couch. I was 32 weeks pregnant, wearing a bright pink maternity dress that literally said "Mama" across the front, and I was holding a small microphone we were using for the baby shower games. "Everyone, I would like you to officially meet Daniel Reyes," I said directly into the microphone. "My husband's absolute best friend that I had absolutely no clue about until last week, because my husband conveniently never mentioned that he has had a boyfriend since he was 16 years old, and that Daniel's newborn son, sleeping right there in that carrier, is named Matthew Daniel after my husband. And my husband desperately wants to name our baby Daniel after Daniel, so our sons can be named after each other. It is exactly like sister wives, but with gay husbands who completely lie to their wives. You could literally hear the ice melting in the punch bowl. "Rachel, what the hell are you doing?" Matt panicked, stepping toward me. "Stop talking." Daniel's wife Sophie stepped right past him. "She knows, Matt," she said loudly. "She knows absolutely everything. I told Daniel to stop doing this to her." Linda, Matt's mom, looked at the baby carrier, looked at Matt, and then looked at Daniel. "Matthew?" she asked, her voice cracking. You told me you were in Cleveland for work all those times. You were actually with him? I walked right past Matt and over to Daniel's chest carrier. It was a really cute baby. I gently reached out and touched his little hand. "Hi, Matthew Daniel," I whispered. "I am Rachel, your dad's wife. Your name is very pretty." Then I stood up straight and looked Matt dead in the eyes. "I called my lawyer first thing this morning," I told him in front of everyone. "I have the screenshots of 7 years of text messages, intimate photos, hotel receipts, the secret Instagram account, and Daniel's full crying confession on a video call from last night. My lawyer says that in the state of Texas, adultery absolutely matters for custody. I am going to have this baby completely alone. His name will absolutely not be Daniel. His name will be James, after my dad, a man who actually showed up for his family. You can go pack your bags and be a happy family with Daniel and Matthew, Daniel and Sophie. You are not family here anymore." Matt panicked and reached out to grab my arm. My dad stepped right between us. My dad is 6'4", and he is an ex-Marine. "You get your best friend, and you get the fuck out of my daughter's house right now," my dad told him. They left. Daniel was crying on the porch, Sophie was holding the baby, and Matt was standing in the driveway screaming, "Rachel, please let me explain." I had my baby exactly 6 weeks later. It was a beautiful boy. James Robert. He weighed 7 pounds and 3 ounces. There is absolutely no Daniel anywhere on his birth certificate. Matt has seen him exactly twice since he was born. Both visits were strictly supervised. Last week, I got a text message from an unknown Portland number. It was Daniel. "Thank you for finally telling the truth," the message said. "Sophie and I are actually divorcing Matt too. We are all free now." I typed my reply and hit send. We are free, and our boys finally get to have real names.